Do you ever find yourself struggling to make things happen?
On today's show, we're going to be talking about the power of surrender.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Awaken Your Spirit. We are your hosts. I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez Garcia. And our show's about inspiration, motivation, and developing the mindset to live a happy and abundant life.
We are live here every week, Mondays and Wednesdays, 9 a.m. Pacific time. If you guys would like to join us on the show, whether you're watching live on Facebook or on YouTube, you can subscribe to the show. Just click the subscribe button and also hit the live notification button so you know every time that we go live. So today we have an exciting show for you guys here today, and it's something that we've been practicing with, and we know that it can really help you guys, and it is that power of surrender. Mm-hmm. And before we get into our topic of the day, we always like to start off with our first segment of the show, which is our inspirational moment with Veronica.
So for inspirational moments, I'd like to read something inspirational. And today I have a reading from this book. So the book is called Intuition, Soul Guidance for Life's Decisions. And it's by Sri Dayamata, and she's she was the former president of the Self-Realization Fellowship. And here's the book. Yep. There it is. And this chapter, which, we based the title of the show, is called Surrender, Connecting with the Unlimited Power of God. And it says, at one time or another, every one of us reaches a point at which our problems seem so overwhelming that we feel we cannot cope with them. We say to ourselves, I've reached the end of my rope, physically, mentally, and emotionally. I've tried everything I can think of. What on earth can I do now? Many people seek the help of a medical doctor or a psychiatrist. This is sound common sense. But there comes a time when the doctors can do nothing for us. What then? I very much believe in the power of surrender to God, placing our lives totally in His hands. He can bring us through every crisis, regardless of the dire pronouncements of any human being. I have been through many illnesses and have never let go of that divine power because I know it sustains me. Time and time again, He has given me proof of this. So that's today's inspirational moment.
We hope you guys really enjoyed that, because it really is coming down to that. We're going to dive more into this topic because I've done that before, and I've practiced with this, and I still practice it, because just allowing just the things to happen without getting so caught up into that power of surrender. And what is that? And these readings, these guidance, they're such great inspiration to teach all of us, like, how do we live a very happy, successful life? And we talked about success before, and at least our definition of success is, our level of happiness and whatever it is that we're doing. And so if that helps inspire you in some way, give us some hearts, give us some likes. And if you know that there's anybody that can benefit from the message of this show, please share this with them, because we never know who this message is going to impact.
Yeah.
So that is our inspirational moment for today. And if you guys are joining in with us, let us know where you're coming from. We'd love to say hi. If you're new to the show, type in new here into the comments, whether you're watching live or you're watching on the replay. We'd love to hear from you guys. And if any moment you have any comments, you have any questions for us, type those here into the feed as well. And we will get to you, your question and your comments throughout the show. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Let's see who's going. Veronica Mendez says she's new. Are you new?
Yes.
She's new. All right. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you.
I can see you guys joining us here live. And so, we're going to be talking today about the power of surrender.
Yeah.
And what this really means, this concept of surrender. And over the last few years, it's really been something that I've been training with myself. We've been doing this together. Mm-hmm. And there's a universal law, and it's called the law of non-resistance. And when we find that it's like when things don't seem to go our way, and it's like we try everything we can, and nothing seems to work. Whether you're trying to, maybe you're trying to let go of some excess weight that you put on, and you try the diet, you try the exercise program, and you find yourself stuck. And it's like, well, I've tried everything. Maybe you're dealing with a health challenge, and I've tried everything, but nothing seems to improve, whether it's in your business, your relationships. And there might be, at some core level, a part of us that actually resists what we say that we want. And that's a key thing. We may not even be aware of that, but in some way there is some form of resistance. And this is the things that we work on personally with people.
Yeah, and resistance can come in different ways, because sometimes we're holding on to old hurts, things that people did to us in the past that we're still holding on to. So when you think about it, it still brings up emotion of anger or frustration or even sadness. And those are the things that still hold us back. And sometimes we might not even be aware of it, that we still have all this stuff that we're holding on to, because it's like, oh, I've worked on that. But it's like we've only worked on one little aspect of it, not the entire thing. Because there could be so many different people involved. You might have worked on one thing that someone did to you, but maybe there's still something you're holding on to based on how someone reacted towards that, or maybe someone else said something to you in regards to that same situation. So there's so much to it that we can still hold on to, and unknowingly.
Yeah.
So it's important to be aware of how we feel and what are we focusing on, and also how we get triggered, because I think when other people trigger us, that's a good thing, because now we know there's something within us that needs to be healed.
Yeah. So as an example, I know in my life, at a time where I was trying to make things happen, trying to make, a previous business really, really work out, and I was trying everything, working long hours. And I find myself getting really like stressed out, not seeing the result that I wanted to, and really frustrated.
And that you just said it right there. It's like trying to make things happen.
So here it works. Like you tried. Like I'm trying everything in the book. I watch the videos. I get the guidance, the coaching. I'm doing all these different tactics. And why doesn't it seem to be working out? How come other people are doing it and it seems to work out great for them, but why doesn't it work for me? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Why me? How come it doesn't work out for me? Well, I understood in the past that tends to be like that victim type of mentality. But I also know what came out of that was my level of resistance to what I said that I wanted. Because previously I had an office, and in that office, it was like kind of the 9-to-5 concept where, I would see patients, and I always told myself, I don't want to be stuck in an office all day long. I like to be out and about doing different things and being very creative. And I even told you that, like, I don't want to be stuck in an office all day long for the rest of my life, because I felt.
And you would say that a lot.
And I would say that a lot. But yet here I'm trying to develop a business to have more patients and clients coming in that would keep me more inside the office for longer hours and longer days, and wasn't really aware of what energy I was putting out there. And so over time, I was always saying, oh, I really want to create this in our life. This is the businesses, things that I really wanted to do, but I was so caught up, like it has to be done this way, and so rigid and stuck in one aspect of how to do something, that eventually it manifested into everything that I said I didn't want. Well, actually it did.
No,
it worked it exactly.
Yeah.
But what I thought it was like more like, I didn't want this to happen, but in a sense I did, because I manifested exactly what I was saying. So the concept here is we have to be careful with what we say, because we find a lot of people, they contradict themselves when they say they want something quite a bit, even in our work.
Yeah.
I want to earn more money. I want a great relationship. I want better health. But somewhere in there, they have a level of resistance, because it might mean something negative to them that they're pushing away from.
Yeah. So like you mentioned, I want to drop weight and things like that. Oh, but I don't want to give up, certain things, which, there's so many aspects to that, especially losing weight. There's, so many different things. And a lot of it could be emotional, like what emotional weight are you holding on to, where it manifests as extra weight on the body. Like for you with the office, I don't want to be in an office all day. Well, you manifested having to leave the office, and things just worked out that way. And then, but you were freaking out when we had to leave. But when I said, this is exactly what you wanted. And then you stop to think, and it's like, wow, like it was what I wanted.
And I felt really good afterwards. But in the moment, when you're trying to make a different change or transition in your life, and it seems scary at first, well, that's what was going on with me.
Yeah.
And
because it's a big change.
And it's to do something completely new. And like, okay, you're stepping out into an unknown. What's next?
Yeah.
You do something for so long in a certain way, and to just switch it up and do something completely different, it takes a while to get adjusted to those new changes.
Yeah.
But at that time could we have done that sooner? But if my level of resistance, meaning that I'm pushing too hard to try to make something happen in a result, but the energy that was going inside, my thoughts, the feelings, all of that was pushing even harder against what I wanted. And there's always a mantra that I had. And I picked this up a long time ago. And it was always, everything always works out for me. No matter what goes on, no matter what challenges that I go through, what we go through, everything always works out. But when I had that mantra, everything always does work out.
And everything works out for all of us, because we all have that power within us that can manifest what we want. But that's why, we have to constantly work on it. And it's something that, you have to break certain habits, because, some of us were raised in a certain environment where maybe there was too much negativity, but once you're aware of it, it's like, wow, like I can change this, and anybody can change anything. And it's really paying attention to, what are you thinking about on a daily basis? What are your conversations with other people? Are you talking about things that you don't like, things that don't make you feel good? And you're giving all this energy to something you don't even want in your life, or you don't want to see, but you're feeding it. And the moment that you stop talking about that, the moment that you're focused on exactly what you want, the dreams that you want to come true, you start talking about that every single day, and just, be in that excitement of what you do want, and talk about it and feel it like you're there. Then you'll start to manifest things more rapidly of what you do want. And don't allow yourself to focus on it not being there, because the moment you're focusing on, well, I don't see it here, now you're focusing on lack. So it's like, talk about it like you have it. Talk about it as if you're living it already, and things will start to change, because it's our point of focus. And we have to talk about this all the time. Your point of focus, what is it? Does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel yucky? And really, have that awareness.
Yeah. So I want to say hello to people that are joining in with us right now. We got Patty Mays that says sweet morning. It is definitely a sweet morning.
Yes, it is.
Tiffany Cook is joining with us as well.
Morning,
welcome, welcome, everybody. Patty says, isn't it amazing how many people said those same words? I want to change. Then COVID equals collective manifestation, and how many surrendered? How many people are saying,
I'm getting goosebumps with that.
I can't stand my job. I want to find something different, but I don't know what else is out there. And then a lot of people end up getting laid off because they said, I don't want to go to work. I want something different in my life. I want a big change or something. Well, everybody got a big change. So
they want the world to change. Now this is a big time change around the whole world. And I think it's, there's so many good things coming, from this, and a lot of, collaborations, a lot of people, coming together. And isn't that what a lot of people have said? Like, we want people to work together to be more in peace and harmony. And that's what's happening.
Yeah. And at the beginning of all of this, how much resistance was there? All of the frustration we started to see in the stores about, the lines and how everything had to change, and how the way you did your grocery shopping, the things you couldn't do, and the level of frustration because they couldn't do what they wanted. Yeah. And now you're starting to see everybody's starting to get accustomed and adapted to the new changes. And as everybody's like working in order. But at the beginning, we saw a lot of hostility.
Yeah.
Just people, because, you start to change things that people don't really want to change, and their frustration tends to come out. And we saw this quite a bit.
Yeah. And that's because it's a different energy. So they're feeling like the contrast in energy of the change, because they're not used to that energy of how it feels.
So we have to be very mindful of what we're thinking, what we're saying, because like the genie, be careful what you wish for, because your wishes will be granted. Not so much what you say, but what you think and feel on the inside. That is a big key Tiffany says, actually, Patty says, level of resistance, Aaron Garcia, everything always works out mantra. And it always does. And sometimes I have to remind myself that, especially when I find that everything, or well, not everything, but when things aren't working out and I find myself having my own resistance. And yes, we have our own resistances, but when we become aware of that, it's like we give ourselves our own mantra. You know, you can use this one, you can use something different, but I find that everything always works out.
It does.
You know, it's like if you're struggling with money, the money will always come right back. If you're trying to find a new place to live, if you're moving, a newer, better place will come forward.
But also everything always works out also based on your point of focus. So keep that in mind. It's like I was listening to Abraham Hicks this past weekend, and there was an example that Abraham gave, and it was like when you're driving in the car and you know where you want to go and you're heading in that direction, and it's going to take you maybe an hour to get there, and we always drive looking forward, and we're always looking forward to, on the road where we're going. Do we ever stick our head out and look down exactly where we're at in that space? Like, do we look at, okay, I'm here right now, looking down at where you're at in the current, in that current space? We don't. We look forward. So that's the same with what we want in our life. Like, don't look at the circumstance right now where you are. Don't look down at where you're at in the circumstance, because that's what you created based on your thoughts. Look forward in the direction of your visions, your dreams, your goals. And that will, move you forward to what you want. Like when you look at circumstance, that's like sticking your head out of the car and looking down like, okay, I'm right here. But look forward and look at, that vision. Keep it in your mind's eye and keep looking forward.
Yeah. So I want to say hello to Tiffany. She says, I've been really focused on surrendering to the universe, and it is a lot of work. But once you start making even small changes, you see things start to shift.
Yeah.
And here's a key thing here. When you say it's a lot of work, that's also language, right? So be careful what you say. When you say it's a lot of work, it's going to be a lot of work for you. Rather than saying, you know what, when I surrender to the universe, it's so easy. It is so easy. When I just surrender to that, surrender is just like letting go and just allowing things to happen. How easy can it be just to like stop forcing it and just, okay,
allow.
I'm just going to allow everything to happen the way it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's always going to work out for me.
Yeah. Because then this is what I mentioned before. It takes the same amount of energy to focus on what you don't want than to focus on what you do want. It's just your point of focus. Like if you're looking at everything that is, the circumstances, the bank accounts, that the money isn't there, it probably takes even more energy to focus on that, because now it's draining you. But when you focus on what you do want and just visualize the bank account with the money you desire, visualize like the house that you want, or whatever it is, or the great relationship, or even how you want to feel, because those things will, it'll change the way you feel, because you're focusing on something you want and it's making you feel good. So it's actually better and less work to focus on what you want. It's just training your mind and it's changing habits.
Yeah. And so this was an example that showed up for us just recently with somebody that's very close to us. And this person's always talking about all like the bad things that are going on with the next relationship. And, there's a child involved, and we find that she doesn't feel very good. She gets emotional. She's feeling maybe a little depressed, sometimes maybe a little sick, and always asking for guidance and advice. And we, Veronica will give it to her. We'll talk with her. And we find that, wow, have you ever noticed when you're talking to anybody, your point of conversation is everything bad that this person is doing to you in your life. Even though this couple is separated, the point of focus is always on the bad thing that's happening. And she's focusing on all the things that this person is doing rather than focusing on what she wants to do, all the good she wants to create in her life. And it's really making her feel not healthy. It's not making her feel really good on the inside. And but she was not aware of this, aware of our conversations, of how we say things. And if it's always in a negative or in a resistant state, things are working very, very hard. I can't seem to make things work. Well, again, those are mantras we're programming into our subconscious mind, and you'll find evidence of that the more you say that. So as we go back in what Tiffany was saying, is like, oh, it's it seems very hard. I'm working hard at it rather than.
It's almost like an affirmation.
It is an affirmation.
You tell yourself, yeah.
Affirmations can be very positive, but also how many negative affirmations can we tell ourselves, or do people tell themselves on a daily basis, whether verbally or internally? That's where, auto-suggestion and self-suggestion is very powerful. Let's go back. I got a few people that joined in with us as well. So Willie Campbell is joining with us. His awesome topic is good afternoon. Good afternoon. He also says, even embracing change seems easier said than done. And it can. I mean, I'm not saying change is easy, but when we allow, yes, we're going to have to work at a few things. We're going to have to change the way we do things. We've been programming ourselves in a certain way, in a certain paradigm for how many years? We've been talking a certain way, using the same language. And to change that, it takes work. But if you focus on it, and it's how you feel about the change, that is a key thing. It's how do I feel when I make this change? Am I getting frustrated when it's not working out how I want? I'm making a change. You're learning a new language. You're learning a new skill. And wow, I'm not professional at this, and it's only been a day.
Yeah.
What the heck, right?
It takes time.
It takes time and it takes practice. But it just, when we allow ourselves that concept of surrender. And what does that mean? Surrender is just like taking a breath and just let go of all the frustration, let go of all the anger. Because part of that could just be our stuff coming up.
It is, because like when there is change, and if it's something that's new to you or new to the people around you, it's a different energy, it's a different vibration. So that's why we feel that uncomfortable feeling at the beginning, and it's like, oh, like I'm getting used to this, and it's feeling the change in energy. But once it's like you're in it after a while, then you become used to it. And then later on, it's like, oh, like I feel good about it now. But at the beginning, that's when you're going to feel the most contrast in energy, because it's a different vibration that you're used to. And like this whole thing around the world, it hit everyone all at once. There was some people that were already pretty much ready for it, and other people that it really hit them hard because of the big change. And if you're sometimes things happen unexpectedly, and it's embracing the change, but just trusting and surrendering that things are going to be okay. And when you can surrender and just allow the universe, allow God, just give it up to the universe, give it up to God, and things will happen better for you, and you will start to feel better about it. Allow God to handle what's going to happen the way it needs to happen. And, things will just start to feel better, because the more you try to control it or resist it, it's not going to make you feel good. So it's just allow it to happen.
Yeah. Because the more resistance we put out there, the more resistance we're going to get back.
Yeah.
And yes, this does take practice. You got to remind yourself daily, use any affirmation, any mantra, just to keep yourself in that positive state that everything's working out the way it's supposed to. Even if you're going through a storm right now, maybe you're going through a really major challenge, and that can mean something different to everybody, and it's all perspective. But even if something seems like really, really hard for you in this moment right now, and we've all had our moments, is the storm will always pass. This is what's called the law of rhythm. It's like the tide will go out, the tide will come back in. The sun's going to come up, eventually it's going to go down, the moon's going to come up, and the sun's going to come right back up again in a certain time. There is that law of rhythm. The seasons come as a law of rhythm. You know that it's going to come. Even though we're in spring, going into summer soon, it's like eventually the winter's going to come. And we know that. So when you're going through a challenge, you're going through a storm, realize it's just a season you're going through, and eventually you're going to work your way out of that.
Let's go to some of the comments here.
Oh, we did that one. He said, embracing change. So Patty says, this is so easy. This always works out for me. Great mantra. And Willie says, but I truly believe we embrace change easily. Perhaps the conundrum occurs due to changes not coinciding with those things we desire. And it could go back and forth, because a lot of times there can be even resistance. And we can call this unconscious resistance. It's not saying, okay, you need to change this, or you need to do this and do things a different way. It's like, well, I like my life the way it was. I don't want to have to change. And then the arms kind of cross. But when we also talk about resistance, it's the things that we say we do want, and it's not happening. We want to increase our income. We want to have better health. We want to create better relationships or solve a certain problem. Why isn't it working out? I tried everything. And part of that is sometimes at an unconscious level, we have some type of resistance, meaning we've had an experience in the past that put up a negative feeling. And so when we start to move forward, all of that starts to get triggered in some way. And everybody has their own for this. I've had mine. Veronica just has hers. And sometimes when we're trying to move into our growth or move into a new vibration or new area, all of that old stuff wants to come up because it's what keeps you where you're at. And when you try to step into a different arena, all of that is going to kick in, all of the fear, all the worries, concerns, you know, as an example, someone wants to step out into the world. They want to make a big change. They want to make an impact. But that means they have to get out in front of people. And what if there's an underlying fear of being criticized or judged? Well, that's going to come up when they put themselves out there in front of people. And this is what keeps people stuck and back. Even though they say they want to do it, that emotion is strong and they have to learn to push through it. And what we take people through is to uproot what that energy is.
What that resistance is, yeah.
Remove the resistance so we can move forward easier. But what we like to do, we always embrace when that happens, because even if it seems challenging, and challenging means it could be highly emotional, is I realize, and this is another mantra, wow, thank you for being here, because you're helping me to identify something that's been within me that I haven't dealt with yet.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of resistance tends to be.
Yeah, because we all have emotions, and for the most part, we're not really taught how to deal with our emotions. What do we do when we feel emotions? Most of the time, you know, at least for me growing up, was like, oh, don't cry, or you know, oh, you know, keep quiet, like you're not supposed to be crying right now, or don't cry or I'll give you something to cry about. Like, we've heard things like that. So it gets programmed into our mind like, oh, crying isn't good. I shouldn't show emotion. So what do? We bottle it up. And all those things that we bottle up is what's creating our resistance. So the more we can let go of these emotions, the more we can deal with the issues that are deep rooted, the more free we're going to feel, and the better we're going to feel. And it's just going to get us closer to, you know, to our desires and what we want. And also a point of focus, maybe it's not like the material things of like that we desire, but focus on your well-being and how you feel. Like, that is key, you know, to everything. It's like, does this make me feel good, or does this make me feel bad? And focus on the things that make you feel good. And if you're feeling bad about something, you know, allow yourself to feel that emotion, and then put your focus on something that makes you feel good. Even if it's like a baby, a puppy, or, you know, a flower. Go out in nature and ground yourself. Like, things like that really make you feel good, and just take in that fresh air. And then you'll start to feel better. And that's really, you know, what we want, is to feel better. So it's pointing our focus on things that make us feel better.
Yeah. And it's just, when you start to feel that resistance, it's like, you got to be aware of that. Wow, I'm feeling something. Resistance shows up as frustration or anxiety, overwhelm, all of that. And we were, you know, we were having a kind of a dual birthday party here this past weekend here in our home, you know, because it was my birthday last week, and Veronica's mom, is her birthday as well. And we were all celebrating. And, you know, when people come over, it's like, you want to pick up the house. You know, there's a few things I wanted to work on. And I find, wow, there's a lot of things to put together. You know, it's like set up a party for all these people. You got to, you know, put all the tables, and it can seem overwhelming at first. And I've noticed this in the past too, is if I'm focused on everything that has to get done, all the different tasks, and your goal, it might say, hey, I want to be here, but that means I have to do A, B, C, D, all the way through X. And it seems like there's so much to do. And what happens is a little bit of overwhelm kicks in, and you're thinking, how am I going to do all this? What am I going to do? And we're focusing on every little task, and nothing gets done. Rather than, okay, let's take a breath. Let's just do one thing at a time and focus there. And then focus on it and just take an action step. Because if you're just sitting there thinking about it, nothing gets done. But I've noticed that over time, when I've just sat there and did one little thing at a time and moved to the next and moved to the next, and focus on all the good things and how I want to see everything. When that could be in our business, that could be in our relations, things we want to improve on, our health. then it's like, okay, let's do one thing at a time. And then over time, like everything is done. And the end result is like, wow, we were able to create that. But if we just sit there and think about it, nothing's going to change. So we do have to take some kind of action step, and we have to sometimes just push through that emotion when it's there. Take a breath. If you're going through something challenging, you were talking about this just a second. You want to get calm and centered first, so that way you can think of solutions and just start wherever you're at, wherever that might be. And just like that mantra, everything is always going to work out for me. In fact, you can even change that up. Everything works out even better for me when I surrender, when I let go. And we find that when we're stuck in just, it's got to be done this way, or I want to see it happen in this form, that's another form of resistance, because we're closing off all the possibilities, all the opportunities for different ways to show up. Maybe there's another way that's even a better result for you that comes in, but you couldn't see it at the moment based on where your imagination can take you. And so the key thing is just allow things to show up the way they're supposed to show up in your life. But it does take practice. And as you practice this more and it happens in a certain way, then you start to develop more trust in that. And that is really, it's a practice of surrender. It's just, okay, allow it to come the way it's supposed to show up.
And be okay with that. Like, be okay with allowing it and allowing it to show up in a different way. Because sometimes we get stuck in having it to be done a certain way, and we get caught in our ways. So it's just allow. Say, okay, universe, God, I'm allowing it to show up the way it needs to show up, and embrace that.
So if you guys are just joining in with us right now, you're watching Awaken Your Spirit. We are your hosts. I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez Garcia. And today we're talking about the power of surrender. And it is very powerful to surrender, because it's like when you let go of, trying to make things happen a certain way, things, needing to be done like this, and you just say, okay, I'm gonna surrender. I'm gonna allow the universe, God, to make it happen the way it needs to happen, and trust and have faith that it's gonna happen, just the way it needs to happen,
and when it's supposed to happen. And this has been a big practice for me, is being okay and surrendering that, okay, maybe something I want to manifest in my life, I have to be okay with what if it happens a few months from now? What if it happens a year from now? However it's going to be, I'm just going to allow it to show up when it's supposed to show up, because it'll show up exactly the right time when it needs to. And what I found once we do that, let's say like there's been items that we need to purchase, and I find that when I surrender to it, I find that when I get an even better deal on it, and it's even better than I expected, because I didn't know it was going to show up that way. But that one time it shows up, there's an ad or an offer. It says, hey, there's this thing for sale that you said you wanted. You've been wanting that. Go get it.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, thank you.
It's like, thank you. Thank you for answering what I've been asking for. But in the moment, if I'm sitting there and like, oh, God, I can't find the right deal. I can't find it. There's nothing out there, especially now, like when you're trying to shop and everything's sold out on certain items. It's like, just allow it to happen when it's supposed to happen, because maybe you're not supposed to have that right now. Maybe the situation you want is not, you're not ready for that, because there's certain things you need to work on and work towards for that to show up, and then you're ready for it.
Or maybe it's not that you're not supposed to happen, but because you're so caught up in your mind, you're not seeing the possibilities that are out there, because there's stuff out there, but maybe you're not open to seeing it maybe in a different way. So it's like, I have to buy it from this store and I'm waiting for it, but it's not there. But how about opening the doors to other places like OfferUp? we bought so many things on OfferUp.
Oh my gosh.
That just showed up, like a computer that Aaron was looking for. And it was like he's been wanting a new computer that's faster to be able to do, better shows and things like that. And he found one, and for a better price, and then the money was there. So it's like, why not?
And I've been talking about it for a few months now, almost a year. And it shows up when it's supposed to show up.
Perfect timing.
It's especially when all the money was there to have extra to be able to put towards that. It's like, it came in a different way.
Yeah.
But it came. And so it's like, you accept that when it's supposed to happen. And that's allowing. It's like allowing just the flow of the universe to come to you. And that's like what Willie's saying here. I'm going to go to the comments. Yeah, Willie says, river flows. Tides roll in and out. Day comes and goes. Nights bring something different. Human maturing nurtures such similarities, and thus bless us with constant changing circumstances at all times. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tiffany feels like you're speaking to my soul, Aaron. We were going earlier about certain things.
Awesome.
And hey, Happy says, happy birthday month.
Happy birthday
month.
And then there's another comment.
There, from Patty. There we go.
She says, some of my clients' friends begin to change and those around them resist. Brings up fear and many feel it easier to go back. Then do the hard work and make the change. Yeah, because it's like when that change occurs, like they want to go back to what they're comfortable versus trying to, go through it. So it's easier to go back to where you're comfortable. But, when that change occurs and to embrace that change and just move with it, it can be and feel, uncomfortable for people. So they resist that. But the more we can be like, okay, I'm allowing and just go with it, it will be easier, but it's afraid of change. And there's a lot of people that fear change because it doesn't feel comfortable at the beginning. But when we learn to embrace that uncomfortable feeling and just go with it, go with the flow, it's easier for us to embrace that.
And that's the concept of building new habits. Habits can take us some time. There's statistics and research out there, but it's really a little bit different for everybody. But the commonality is you got to do it over and over again for a quite long period of time, especially if it's something new that you want to make different, until it becomes automatic. Because when you don't have to think about it anymore, that's when you're done with it.
Because we're constantly changing. The world is constantly changing. And if we're not changing, then that means we're not growing. Because when things change, we grow as a person. When things change and we have to adapt to something new, we're growing as a person. So change is good.
Yeah. We got Eric Swanson who's joining with us. I'm just joining in. He says, nice to meet you too. It's nice to meet you as well, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
Tiffany says, I am open and ready to receive.
Awesome. Yeah.
And that's another great mantra. I am open and ready to receive. Yeah. And just allow, and I allow it to come to me any way it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is we've done this many times, and we allow things to come. And sometimes it can still come and there might be resistance there, but you just keep saying that and just, okay, you take a breath. Each day is a new day, but it really comes to your point of focus.
Yeah.
It's like allow whatever's going to happen and just go about your day and do things, like take an action step that's going to help you move forward, but decide what that's going to be.
And allow things to happen. Don't force them to happen, because when you try to force things to happen, you get more resistance.
And that's the opposite. Surrender. Surrender could also be another word of saying, we said it before, is allowing.
Yeah.
Allowing things to show up the way they're supposed to show up and when they're supposed to show up. And then say thank you when it does. Patty says, ooh, yeah, habits.
Habits.
Eric says, mantra, what else awesome can happen today?
That's a good mantra. Yeah, because it's like you're expecting for awesomeness to happen.
Yeah. How many people say, like, what else can go wrong today? People use that mantra.
Yeah, that's not a good mantra to have. But
the universe
I like that one.
The universe says, oh, I'll show you what's going to happen wrong. I'll prove you. But you see awesome. Then it's like, okay, what can be better today? And then something I even told when clients would come to us is, people can focus on everything, the situation and all the problems, things are not working very well. And you change the conversation. Say what's doing great, what's doing better in your life today, what's improved, and you see them kind of stop and think, because they're ready to tell you what the problem, all the problem is, or what's still going wrong, and they have to stop and think. Well, I'm sleeping better. I feel a little better. Things are moving a little more forward, even though they're not where they want to be yet. At least they notice some type of improvement. But by changing their focus, by asking a different question. And we can do that to ourselves, just like Eric said. What else awesome can happen today?
That's a good one.
And you'll find something else. And that's something that we all should practice. And that's the practice of allowing, the practice of surrender. Patty says,
what can I do? #today for tomorrow. That's a good one.
And Tiffany says, I need to manifest this baby into sleeping through the night.
You know what you can probably try, I don't know if you've tried it already, but get some lavender oil, if she's okay with lavender, and put like a couple drops on the top of her head and the bottom of her feet. And lavender is supposed to be like calming, or maybe have some like a diffuser with lavender aroma in the room to help her just to calm. And you could try it and see if it works.
Yeah. And also focus too is, children are very sensitive to energy. They're sensitive to energy around the environment. And so the first thing I would say is if they're not sleeping or not relaxed, and that could be, I don't know if they're waking up crying or they're just up talking.
Mm-hmm.
Like Willie says, the universe provides for our needs. Then it's okay. Well, how am I feeling right now? How am I feeling this moment? Am I feeling frustrated or tense or stressed out about something? Because if I'm stressed out about something, that baby, the child, is going to feel that energy, or anybody else that's in the home. If there's tension, when you're feeling you can practice this, when your energy is really, really good and you feel relaxed and happy and joyous, you see the energy shift in children or even in animals because they all pick up that same energy. And I noticed this years back when there was like two ladies that I knew. They both had children at this exact same time. And they had children previously that were like crying and always like, and I would see the ones that had kids that were like really crying and screaming all the time. Mm-hmm. And they had their children around the same time. And they were so calm and so quiet. They slept all day long. And part of what they were doing is they were doing a lot of inner work on them during their pregnancy and also after the pregnancy, which means they were letting go a lot of stuff they held on to. Mm-hmm. And because of that, the baby was calm. They weren't getting that stressful energy like the previous kids got. And so that was just something a correlation is babies can pick up on your stress.
Yeah, because it's how mom feels, especially if they're developing, baby feels, or even after they're born, they pick up on the energy. So Eric says, try letting her go out to the clubs for hours.
Well, maybe, but right now there's social distancing and a lot of the clubs are closed down right now unless the restrictions are off in your hometown.
But Tiffany says, Eric Swanson, I absolutely would, because that would mean she would be okay being away from me. But she's only like maybe one or under one. Under one,
I believe.
That's funny.
Willie says, embracing the simplicity in complex situations inspires change. Often change is revealed to us when we are faced seemingly challenging occurrences. That is the universe urging us to try something different or try another way, because maybe that way just isn't working out for you.
Yeah.
And try something different. But again, when we get closed-minded, that it has to happen this way. Mm-hmm. And God, I've done that. I've done this so much.
And one time I told you, several times, like, why don't you do it this way? And then you're like, that would just be too easy.
That's another resistance. Have you ever told yourself, what? That's just way too simple. That's a simple concept. And that part is like, and within me, the resistance was, something's got to be challenged. It's got to stimulate me. If it's too easy, then it may not seem like it's worth the effort. But
that was something that we worked on with you.
But we had to work on that. It's like, wow,
allowing things to be easy.
Yeah, maybe there was an uncomfortability with things just being so easy. And I was like, it's almost like I fought so hard to make this happen. All I had to do was just click this button, do here, and
it's done.
That was it. That's all I had to do. Because sometimes I feel like we do want challenges in our life. Mm-hmm. But think about that. If we always want things to be challenging, then we're going to get a lot of challenging situations that show up. Mm-hmm. And all the things that are easy that are around us, we don't pay attention to. We focus and gravitates to more challenging situations.
Yeah.
At least that was what was going on with me. But I was unconscious of that. And a lot of things that we find when we're resisting, we are not aware that we are actually resisting it. And so how do we find that we're having resistance? Again, you pay attention to the symptoms. If you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling, like overwhelmed, you're feeling anxiety with something, or things just don't seem to work out, you watch your language. And why isn't it happening this way? Why isn't it working out? How come things always seem to be going wrong or happening in this direction? Well, somewhere within you, there's a level of resistance. Mm-hmm. You may not know what that is, but just be aware that, wow, I'm having a resistance to something. Pay attention to your words, your language, how you talk to other people, how you talk to yourself, and look at the situation and say, what is it that I need to learn here in this situation?
And Tiffany says her baby's 11 months today.
Just under a year.
Wow, 1 month. 1 month more, she'll be one. Partybaby.com.
And Patty says, a no brand?
No brand or no brain?
Or no brainer.
No brain.
But that's where we have this resistance. And we're talking about the power of surrender. And it's a practice. It's something you got to do on a daily basis. It's like practicing faith. It's like having faith that everything's going to work out. Yeah. And when we surrender, it's like you just allow you allow yourself to go with the flow of the current. You let go of all the tension. You let go of all of the stress. And when we let go of all that stress, and we just feel, that feels so much better just to let that go.
Yeah.
And when we allow, okay, I'll just allow it to happen, and we go about our day. It's like when we get caught up in our emotions and our thoughts, like, oh my God, like we can actually make ourselves sick by trying to push too hard to make things work in our life.
And there's something else I want to read from this book that I read earlier, Intuition, Soul Guidance for Life's Decisions. There's a part here, it's called Removing the Blocks to Deeper Levels of Consciousness. It says, the mind as an instrument for tapping the power of God is limitless. I want to emphasize this to you all, as Paramahansaji did to those of us around him. And Paramahansaji is Paramahansa Yogananda, so he was her guru. It says, years ago he told us, and psychologists nowadays would certainly agree, that chronic worry, fear, nervous tension, and the other negative emotions, guilt, hate, jealousy, bitterness, close off the channels through which wisdom and healing flow from the deeper levels of consciousness. People become so tense and anxiety-ridden and struggling with their problems that they get emotionally hung up. And that's exactly what we were talking about. It's like when you have all these negative emotions, and it's like we get emotionally hung up. Mm-hmm. And it closes off those channels to receiving those messages from the universe, from God. So it's allowing ourselves to feel better and feel better first, and then go and surrender and allow yourself to, just let go of everything and say, I surrender, I'm allowing, and see what happens. But get yourself in that better feeling emotion first before even working on projects, before doing things, because you don't want to carry all that negative energy into anything that you're doing.
Yeah. And I've practiced with this before many times, because again, if you're trying to find an answer to something, a challenge, you want to look for a solution, and all the answers are really within us. And if we just pay attention, because if we're focusing on the problem, then we're focusing on the problem. We're not looking for a solution. When people might think that's counterintuitive, like, well, if I'm focused on the problem, I'll find a solution. But if you're just focused on what is and the problem that's at hand, then you're getting frustrated with all that tension, all those negative emotions Veronica was just reading about, then all the answers that are just in this, we call it the ether, the space that's around us, that we can pick up and receive through our mind, through our brain, through our nervous system. And when we learn to let go and quiet ourselves and be relaxed. And when I noticed that, because I practiced many times, when I finally relax on certain things and I breathe, we meditate, and say, okay, show me the answer. And it may not happen right away, but within time, when I'm relaxed, oh, that's where it's supposed to happen. Maybe it's you're looking around and you see a sign. Maybe it's a book. Maybe it's a commercial or something that pops up, and it could just be one or two words. And when you're aware of it, you pay attention. Those are the signs that is the answers that are trying to show themselves to you, and they were always there. You just weren't paying attention to them.
So Teresa says, "Hi guys."
Hey,
Hi,
Teresa.
Great to see you.
Great to have you on.
Tiffany says, "Great topics today, guys. Thank you."
Thank you. And so it's like when we allow ourselves to relax, all the solutions are already there. We ask the question, what's the solution? What's the answer to this challenge that I'm having? And you just allow that. I will find the answer. The answer will come to me at some time, and I allow it to come to me. And you just focus on the answer showing up rather than the problem being there. And if you meditate, any kind of relaxation method that you can practice, or just go about your day and just take action and do something and let it go, and it'll come to you. And it may come up in like the most weirdest hours. Sometimes it shows up in a dream. You wake up in the middle of the night. That's the answer.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've heard voices that when I wake up in the middle of the night, and it's like, and this thought comes into my mind. I don't know where it comes from. I know it comes from source, and it says, "Do this." And I'm like, that's the answer that I've been looking for. But I couldn't find that answer when I'm resisting, when I'm caught in frustration. I find it more when I'm relaxed and I'm in a good mental state.
Because now that your channels are open. The channels to receive that information is open, but when we're caught up in negative emotions, negative thoughts, you're choking off those channels, to connect. Yeah. So it's just allowing ourselves to surrender and give in to that higher power. And that higher power is within each and every one of us. And sometimes people think that it's not, but it is. That's why when you close your eyes and you go within, that's where all the answers lie. And we're all connected. And that's why sometimes you can feel someone across the world, and it's all that same energy. So it's allowing yourself to tap into that by letting go of all the negative emotions.
Yeah, and it's like when you relax, and it's like you just opened up the gates for all the possibilities to come through you, and there's so much. It's like, okay, now the stream can come. The stream of abundance can come towards you. Or before, when resistance is like you shut the door and you lock it up. And some people put many different layers of resistance behind that door. They put the wood, like the wood, the barn doors, and then they put the cement wall behind it, and then they put the chains and everything. And they don't allow, because they get so caught up in the emotions of like worry, fear, anger, jealousy, hate, envy, that when you learn to let go, and part of it is just doing the inner work. It's healing the stuff that's been going on within you. And why do I have this resistance? And that's a great question to ask all of ourselves. Yeah. Why am I resisting this? What does it mean to me? If I was to achieve this in my life, what would that mean? And is it a negative or is it a positive? And everybody can say, well, rationally, oh, that would be great. I would love to have all these things in my life. But why has it shown up yet in your life? It's not that you can't have it. It's like, why does it seem like it's so far away? One, we have to look at how do we feel and think on the inside. And also is sometimes there's experiences that happen that put a negative connotation towards that thing that we say that we want. And then why are we doing that? Why do we want that? And what's the purpose? And we have to look at our whys, because maybe the why isn't that strong enough. Maybe it's not, there's more of a pain point for having that rather than there is a pleasure point for having what we want. And so like we always gravitate to something that's more pleasurable, and we resist and turn away from anything that could be considered painful. And so when we're resisting something, think about what is there a pain point with this to have that? Yeah.
And, again, it's people desire things because they feel it's going to make them happy for the most part. But the happiness really comes from within, because you can be happy now and not wait until you have something to be happy, because our happiness lies within us. So if you can be happy now, whatever you want, it'll just be a plus. It'll be like a bonus. So it's finding ways to be happy now and feel good today. And then stuff will just start to happen. And that's when you're allowing. Now you're in the right vibration when you're feeling good. But when you're not feeling good, you're not aligned to receive all the other things that you say you want. But find ways to be happy now, and just watch how things will happen for you.
Yeah, and that takes practice. And it's interesting how it's just like, wow, everything's starting to work out. The floodgates are finally coming. All the opportunities are coming our way. And we've seen this just happen in our life over and over again. And sometimes if it stops when the resistance shows up, it's like it happens once in a while, but we learn to identify that and get out of that resistance as quickly as possible. And because you're gonna get caught up in challenges, and your stuff's gonna come up, and it's just another area for you to work on internally, which is you're always working on yourself. That's what personal development and personal growth is all about. Willie says, I have found that it's sometimes good to step back and allow certain situations to work themselves out. As they do so, a realization happens within me as to what I should do.
Awesome. Yeah, that's just it. It's just allowing it to happen the way it needs to happen.
And don't force it. I've done the same thing myself, and trying to make things like I want to happen in a certain way. Just saying hello to Carlos here. He says, much love, guys. Welcome. Hey, thank you for joining here on the show.
Thank you for joining.
And so we were talking about resistance. We'll go to Tiffany here. Veronica's pointing the finger. Go to here. Tiffany says, often it all comes down to fear, right? Yeah, at some point there could be a level of fear when you talk about changing that resistance. Even Willie says the same thing, like fear. Oh, I missed because of, there we go. And at some core level, I think we all can have a sense of fear in certain areas. Again, that fear of change. What does that mean to us? What's going to happen? That unknown, it can be very scary for a lot of people.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, feel free.
I was going to read Willie's comment. Wisdom is freedom. Fear is a cage. I like that, because it is. Fear puts us in a cage, because it's like, if we're fearful of something, now you're withdrawing and you're like putting that box around you, like fear of stepping out, fear of what's over there. Like a lot of people fear of the unknown. Yeah. So that's a good point.
Yeah. And he says, no need to fear. We can be wise enough to be accepting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of that takes understanding, learning more. So like when you start to hear messages like this, you guys join us here on the show. We share these concepts with you, and you know, there might be an aha moment you get from watching our show, whatever episodes, topics that we share. And even in the comments here, if there's been an aha for you today, you know, let us know what that is here in the feed, because we like to know. It's just one idea, one concept. Sometimes I might read a whole book and I might just pick one concept out of the book that was the big message for me to hear, and I can move on to something else. But that one aha is what shifts everything. And we learned that the more we study, the more we understand the things that are around us, we study more and understand ourselves and how this all works, the more that we allow the surrender to happen.
And that's the wisdom that Willie was talking about. The more you read and understand, the more wisdom you gain. And that fear tends to let go. You let go of that fear by, you know, learning new things.
Tiffany says, fear the unknown, the unexpected. Sometimes we don't even realize it's there. Absolutely. But if you start asking questions to find the root of the blockage, it can be fear for many.
Yeah.
And that's what we do for a lot of people, is we will tend to ask them, you know, different questions, and we do some different testing on with them. And really, sometimes we got to hit the core issue. And when you hit the right question, the right words, it will unlock all the trapped emotion that's been in there, that's been suppressed or repressed for so long.
And Willie says, but the unknown is our reality. Why be afraid? Allow the unknown and thereby increase with change. Yeah. And it's people fear the unknown. Like, you know, sometimes there's things that happen, and when people don't understand what it is, it's almost like they make it a bad thing, because they don't understand, or they don't have enough information to understand what it is. So it becomes bad. And fear of the unknown, it's like, oh, I don't know what that is, and it's scary, because they don't, in their mind, they don't understand it. And but if they just allow themselves to let go of that fear and surrender, and just understand that we're all creators, and we can, you know, choose to make that something that's that's fearful, or something, just embrace what's there.
Yeah. Because as we say earlier, everything will always work out. If you have that mantra, everything will always work out even better, no matter what's showing up in our lives. Just like when this whole, you know, pandemic of the coronavirus happened, you know, everybody was rushing to the stores, and the store shelves were empty. You guys remember that? We're on almost like 3 months now with this whole situation. And it's like, wow, you couldn't find paper towels, toilet paper, certain food items were off the shelves. So you couldn't find anything. And a lot of that's, you know, that was panic. That's fear. Fear there's not going to be enough to go around later on.
There's more than enough.
But with this mantra, we looked at it. You know what? This is going to pass. It was like a week or two before this, you know, everything started to come back. I'm like, watch. I told Veronica, like, give it about a week or two, maybe 3, and you're going to start to see the store shelves restocked again. We just got to, you know, wait out the storm and you know, ration out things that we have. But it's going to come back, because we understand that there's an abundance in this world, and there's more to go around, especially when there's a demand for it. There will be a supply. And that's happening right now. You go back to the stores, everything's back on the shelves. We learn how to move through these situations, and it's working out again. And Tiffany says, but yes, once you have the wisdom of that fear, then you can turn around and overcome it. Not saying it means they are even conscious of the fear.
Yeah, because sometimes we're unconscious of something that's fearful. So it's like that hesitation that people have. Like, they don't consciously really know that it's really fear-based. Like, there's something that they're fearing, either fear of judgment, and it could be fears that it's not like frightened, but it's more like a fear of judgment or fear of failure or things like that.
So he got it. So yeah, thank you. And we're getting towards the end of the show here. I want to just thank everybody for being here with us, with your comments. And if you find that this message can be beneficial to anybody, if you know that somebody is going through something and they might need to learn how to surrender, how to let go, please share the show with them. And you guys can watch us here on Facebook Live, and also you can follow us on YouTube as well. And if you want to get reminders each time we go live, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the get the reminder buttons here on any of these platforms, so that you never miss an episode with Veronica and I on Awaken Your Spirit. We talked earlier about things like ahas that come up. I think I just got an aha on today's show for me, because one thing, it's like this weekend we were preparing to have like a get together, and then all of a sudden I got like 2 cakes all due on that same day. So I had to make a cake for my family. But then on top of that, I had 2 additional cakes that I had to work on, and they had good amount of detail on it. So am I consciously or unconsciously creating more work when when I have something to do, like prepare for a party? Okay, got to do something, and it's like all these orders that's going to take you away.
Take me away from what I have to do here.
We're going to explore that right here after the show.
Yeah, after the show.
Stay tuned. We'll tell you the results,
and we will let you know.
But it's just identifying patterns in our life that seem to repeat themselves. And once you learn to pay attention to that, then we can work. Awareness is one of the first keys that we always have to be mindful of. Is we can't change anything we're not aware of. Once we're aware of it, like Tiffany says, then we can start to make the change or get some guidance in how to work through that. And so maybe we'll do another episode based on that concept of the different patterns that show up. But it's the same concept, but it's all working around this concept of allowing and surrendering. Yeah,
because I stayed up Friday night and I got like three and a half hours of sleep. So it's like, why? Like, because it seems to happen like that, huh?
Patterns. See, we all go through them. Veronica goes through them. I go through my own. And so, but we work through it because we identify that. So stay tuned. We'll show you the results of that next time.
And let's go through these last comments.
Last comments here before we go.
Tiffany says, yes, exactly, Veronica. I was thinking about the hidden fears, LOL. And thank you for a great conversation today, guys.
Oh, thank you. I hope this is very helpful. And well, this is maybe we too often equate our discomforts with fear. Illness, old age, disease, the 6 ghosts of fear that Napoleon Hill talks about. These discomforts are natural. We witness them at all times. That they cause discomforts might ignite fears, but the reality of them can bring a certain inner peace.
Yeah.
And they're important to have. That doesn't mean you're never going to experience that, but it's there to guide you or to help you be aware of when there's something that's a little bit off. And so you can readjust. But we use those emotions for our benefit, but not to our detriment. And then Tiffany says, last comment here, if you need any help finding hidden fears, I know 2 great people who could help you. And she's got the arrows pointed up at us.
Thank you.
Because we do find those hidden fears, those hidden resistances that people aren't aware of. When they find stuck, that's what we do. And we're really good at that. So if you guys have any challenges, any questions, feel free to reach out to us if you like some guidance and some help. And we'll always let you know different ways we can do that. And that's what we do the show here, to kind of teach you guys how to work through our life.
Yeah, so hope you enjoyed the show. And Willie says, wow, readjustment. Yes. Yeah, so hope you enjoyed the show, and we want to thank you again for joining us and putting your comments in, because that really helps to make sure that you're understanding, that we understand. So we appreciate the comments.
Yeah, so make sure you guys get the reminders. We're going to be changing the show just a little bit within the next week. Right now, we're doing it from Veronica's page. We're going to be moving this over into our actual page, which is our Aaron and Veronica page, like we did before. And so if you find that you're not getting reminders, make sure you guys if you haven't done so, go to that page, like that page. We'll put that here into the link. You just go at Aaron and Veronica here on Facebook, and you can also follow us on YouTube as well. And that way, that's where the show will be played. You can find us, but make sure you get the reminders so you never miss an episode. We have a lot of changes of things that we're going to be doing. So we're always trying to expand. We're always looking to grow, and this is part of that. So we're going to start that next week, and we'll remind you guys on our next episode, which will be this Wednesday. And so, yes, it is a change, Tiffany says, but that's how we're going to be doing it. And it's all for the better. And so we hope you guys
a
good change. We hope you guys have enjoyed this. Take this concept, let yourself surrender to it. Let us know how things worked out for you in your life. comment those here on our shows. Let us know. We always like to see how this impacts you. And we will see you guys next time.
All right. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.